Good morning, angel mommies and daddies. I wanted to jump on here for a message for you guys. If my voice is a little cracking, I'm just a bit emotional. Um, this is so important, this message today, and I just got a reminder of how important it is for you parents that have lost your children. Let's see, it's a big story, and I don't quite know how to begin. Well, first of all, my name is Amy Fulmer. I am like you guys, I'm an angel parent. And June 1st of 2014, my son died. He was 19 years old. My journey since then has been much like you guys, a story that is almost too painful to imagine. But here's something that just happened to me a moment ago, 12 years in, and I'm still kind of brought to my tears. After my son died, I was desperate, to say the least, to hear from him, but I didn't believe or know about any of how the afterlife worked. And I'm not going into religion on this show. Okay, this is not where we're going. But I didn't really believe in communication from the other side. I just kind of thought when you were gone, you were gone. But my son, after he transitioned, had a different educational process for me. So I started hearing from him very, very succinctly after he died. And of course, I questioned it. I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in any communication at all. And then the communication came fast and furious. So one of the first communications, not the first, but was in my kitchen. And I had these cookbooks, my mother's old cookbooks and some of mine that were propped up against, kind of how you have a shelf on the wall. And about 2 weeks after my son died, I was standing in the kitchen alone. And I was just shattered, as you guys know. And all of a sudden, I heard this pound, and the cookbooks fell over. I knew that I had not knocked them over. My cats were not on the counter. There was no shaking in the building. It was a still morning. So I chalked it up to, I don't know, the books fell over. Like I didn't even know what to think. I didn't even associate it. Well, as the years went by, what started to happen was every time I would think of him, the books would fall over. I'd put them back up. Still didn't really put two and two together. But then other things started happening, other types of communication I won't get into. But I want to talk about the books. So then I started a little game. I was like, okay, I'm going to put the cookbooks back up. And I thought, well, maybe it's my mom because there's some of her cookbooks there. And my mom was also in heaven. Heaven is what I call it. You guys can call it whatever you want to call it. Behind the veil, on the other side, home, whatever it is that you feel. And maybe you don't even know. And that's cool too. But I started a little game because I was so, what's the word? Like I still wasn't convinced. So I would go into the kitchen and I would talk to my son and say, if this is you, knock the books over. And of course, nothing happened. But later that day or the next day, I'd be standing in the kitchen. There was always a little bit of a time delay. It was not on demand. Let me be very, very clear. It was never on demand. The next day, a day later, I'd be standing in the kitchen and boom, the books would knock over. So fast forward till this morning, 12 years later. My son and I communicate on a very different level now. It's evolved, just like any relationship. But there is definite communication, and that's one of the messages of hope I want to, for those of you that are wondering about, can you communicate? How does it work? My book goes into that in depth, how I first started to communicate with him. But back to this message. So this morning, I was in my kitchen, and I also have noticed, and this is a very important note. Whenever my son comes through to me is when I'm in a very relaxed state. It's never when I want him to come in. It's rarely when I was having a grief attack or crying. It's always when I'm sort of, my mind is wandering and I'm in a very relaxed, almost blissful state. Now, bear in mind, the book being knocked over now only happens like once or twice a year because him and I communicate on a different level now. It's much more telepathic. But the reality is, I'm standing in my kitchen about 10 minutes ago, and it was really funny because this week I kept looking at the books and going, damn, I miss the books. I miss the old school messages where he would knock the books over. This was like 3 days ago. And I kept looking at the books going, God, that was so much fun. It was so much fun back in the early days. And so this morning I'm washing up my dishes and drying them, and I'm very relaxed, feeling very blissful. Blissful is the word. And all of a sudden, boom, the books knock over. And I was there, and it was a still morning. I live in Arizona. There's no earthquakes here. There's no wind blowing through the apartment. The cats are nowhere in sight. And I turned around and I knew it was Kenji, my son Kenji. And I burst out into sobbing, just sobbing, because it hadn't happened in a while. And just this week I was thinking about it. And that's how your children are. No one can convince me now otherwise. So whether you believe this or not, okay, we're all good. Like, every single one of you tuning into this podcast has total freedom to believe. My premise in this podcast is to share my experiences to help us all heal and grow together, because there's no roadmap for this. There is no place you can go to get a one and done grief walk roadmap. And although I love Kubler-Ross's 12 Steps of Grief, unfortunately, it's just not that clean. At least it wasn't for me. And I think it's a beginning roadmap, but it's not the entire story. And I'll get into that later. But so what shocked me as I sat there 5 minutes ago sobbing in my kitchen 12 years later was, number one, how still emotional it is that they're so connected to us, you guys. Your children, even the babies that were not born or lost at birth or lost because they didn't go full term, they are still your children, I'm so sorry. I get so shook up about parents that lost children. I mean, that lost babies or children that maybe were stillborn, or lost a child before they came into the world. It just shatters my soul because I'm so sorry. I get so emotional about this. It's a soul that will always be with you, and they hear you. They read your thoughts, and they feel your love, even if you never held them. They feel your love. So I just wanted to let you guys know that 12 years in, here I am sitting here on this podcast, just a hot mess. And I don't want to do this. I don't like to come on and cry, but I have to keep it real because we're in this journey together. And this is not an easy thing. And anyone who pretends like you're just going to go on this like grief journey and heal in a 12-step or 13-step or 14-step way, that's not the reality. And I'm here to keep it real for you guys. I also want you to understand that when these things happen to you, if you get an inkling, it could, well, first of all, spirits love electronics. They'll play on your phone, they'll play on your computer, they love music. They'll bring you songs on the radio that maybe was your guy's favorite song or their favorite song or a song that holds significant value, all kinds of things. And in the beginning, you may think, "Oh, no, no, I'm not believing it. This is just coincidence." That's fine. But start to keep a mental note and then just start to put out, "Sweetie, is this you? I mean, am I imagining this?" Because every time they send you a message, and you will get messages and they are real. Nobody can convince me after 12 years they're not real. It's a love thread coming down from heaven. It's like one of the first things my son told me when he crossed over um, was that, he was a teenager and his phone and his clothes and his stuff. Um, he said, Mom, he said, the only thing I took with me when I left was my love for you. And I never forgot that. And I want you to understand the thread that binds you with your child now is the love that you both feel because those bonds can never be cut. So I want to leave you with that. Your love for your child is eternal and active, no matter where they are. And if you can lock on to that, then you will get some relief. And although I completely broke down this morning, and it always takes me by surprise this long into my grief walk, I realized they were bittersweet tears. It used to be tears of sadness, but now it's bittersweet. There's joy and sadness because we're still connected through that eternal bond of love. So I'm going to leave it here, you guys. I apologize for being a hot mess on this podcast, but that's our story. So virtual hugs to all you guys, and your children are always with you. Bye bye.